Welcome, everybody. We'll call the regular meeting of August 11th, Newman City Council to order, please. Please stand for the pledge. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Bow your heads. Lord, we thank you for bringing us all here tonight for the good of the city of Newman. We have many items on our agenda to address. We ask for your guidance and strength to guide us through these things. And in your name we ask, amen.
Amen.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Kelly?
Here.
Davis?
Present.
Candia?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina?
Present.
Mayor Taylor?
Present. Item 5, declaration of conflicts of interest. Seeing none, move to item 6, ceremonial matters. Anything this evening? Okay.
Mayor, we have that emergency item.
Yes, I'm going to address that. We have a late addition to the agenda, the item 10F, which is just was brought to my attention this evening and has to be addressed. So speaking with the council, we can add that to our agenda. Item 10F, the report on Newman Fall Festival.
Yeah, that came to your attention after the agenda was posted. There's a need for immediate action.
That's right. So we're going to add that. Everybody concur?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Anyone wish to address the council on a non-agenda item? Now's the time to do so. Nobody? Okay, we'll move to item 8, consent calendar. Item A, waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title. Item B, approval of warrants. Item C, approval of minutes of the July 28, 2009 regular meeting. Item D, authorize use of appraisal services.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent calendar as is.
I'll second that motion.
And a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move to item 9, public hearings. A, second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2009, next to number, amending Title 11, Public Ways and Property, Chapter 11.01, Public Ways Regulations of the Newman City Code.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and council members. This item was previously introduced to the council on the July 28th council meeting, and this is the item again, amending Title 11, Chapter 11.01 of the Public Ways and Properties of the Newman Municipal City Code. The recommendation for you tonight is to open a public hearing, conduct a second reading of said ordinance, and adopt said ordinance and authorize staff to publish a summary of said ordinance. The purpose of this ordinance is to clarify the municipal code regarding liability for and maintenance and repair of the trees, landscape areas, and sidewalks adjacent to properties. Property owners owe a duty to the public to keep and maintain their trees, shrubs, hedges, and landscaping along streets within the right-of-way in a non-dangerous condition to not interfere with public convenience and safety and use of said streets and sidewalks. In addition, the California Streets and Highway Code, Chapter 22, Section 5600, states that the owners of the lots fronting any portion of the public street shall maintain any sidewalk condition which will not interfere with the public convenience and use of said sidewalk. In addition, the Risk Management Association recommends the cities consider these and adopt said ordinance to minimize the city's potential risk and liability in this area. Before I get into some of the bullet points on this, I would like to give a little bit of a summary and some of the statistics on what the city does do regarding the maintenance and repair of streets and sidewalks and trees in the city. Currently, for fiscal year 2008-2009, the city spent $9,000 in local transportation funds for repairs of sidewalks, $88,000 in CMAQ funds for repairs of the sidewalks, for a total of $97,000 for fiscal year 2008 repairing the streets and sidewalks, just the sidewalks in the city. In addition, already for fiscal year 2009-10, we spent $3,000 repairing the sidewalks within the city. To date, we have repaired all of the Priority 1 sidewalks within the city that we have on our list. In addition, for the rest of fiscal year 2009 and 10, we are going to continue doing some grinding on the Priority 2 areas to help minimize the risk of any potential tripping hazards. As far as the street trees in fiscal year 2008-2009, we did mistletoe abatement and we did tree pruning for traffic safety and for emergency purposes when limbs look as if they're going to be a hazard to the public. And that will continue for fiscal year 2009 and 2010 as well, as the budget allows. The city will continue to maintain and repair streets, or sidewalks and trees as the budget allows. We had to have some reductions, so that will be minimized a little bit this year. In addition, this ordinance does not impact the residents, and I know a lot of residents are here because they feel this is going to be a major impact to their budget regarding their insurance or things of that nature. I did contact a local insurance company here within the city, and they did verify that the homeowner's insurance does cover the liability regarding the sidewalk repairs. In addition, I have an email from the lead litigating attorney for the RMA that states the same. They had an incident and they resolved a trip and fall case, and in which the city has not yet passed an ordinance, and they paid an additional $15,000 to $20,000 more than if they had an ordinance that would have passed. But basically what it results in is a joint liability between the homeowner's insurance and the city's liability. So it is a win-win situation for both. The ordinance does clarify, as recommended by the Risk Management Authority, it minimizes the city's potential liabilities in these areas, and it is, like I stated before, it is a joint liability. The ordinance will minimize the liability to the city. In summary, staff believes that this ordinance will establish a reasonable liability on the property owners for the maintenance and repair associated with their property, and is recommended council introduce and adopt and amend the ordinance to establish property owners as liable and responsible for the costs associated with said trees, sidewalk, shrubs, and for the maintenance and repair. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of Garner?
Hey, Garner, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
If a city plants a tree in the parkway and it up the roots, ruin the sidewalk, who's responsible?
Would it be in front of somebody's own personal property or in front of our park?
In front of the personal property.
In front of their personal property, then the property owner is responsible for the maintenance and repair.
And after the city's planted the tree.
It's required as part of our street plan.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Garner? Okay, with that, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody wishes to address this issue, please step to the podium and state your name for the record.
Mayor Caton, council persons, and Mr. Holland. My name is Mary Moore, 1442 Q Street, Newman, California. I was talking or listening to what Mr. Reynolds said at the meeting on the 3rd about this 1101. I did not understand one thing until somebody called me and told me what it was about. I know the trees from the sidewalk to the curb, they say they belong to the city. I cannot take it out, but yet one fell on my son's car one year. The city told me that was my problem. So I dealt with that. But I don't think it's right that the city pushes this off on the people. Things are bad for the city, but they're also bad for the people. We're on Social Security. We don't have any other excess money coming in. So I wrote up a little bit about this, and I'd like to start with the sidewalk. I have lived on the same block since 1946. There is a broken sidewalk that has been there since 1946 that has never been fixed. And I noticed tonight it's still there, you know. And these sidewalks were this way when I walked to school in the 50s. Why didn't the city fix them years ago? Right now they're fixing them all up, and maybe with the hopes that the city, the property owners will take over and they'll have to keep them up. But these have been like this for years and years. I read in the amendment 1101 that the city wants to give the homeowners liability of the 6 feet easement that would include the parking strip, curbs, and other improvements to protect the sidewalk. The Risk Management Authority recommends cities consider and adopt this ordinance to minimize the city's potential liability in this area. I think the city could send out a notice if things were not taken care of, and maybe give them 3 months, and then to have the landscaping company go in or put sidewalks in and charge the homeowner. I don't think everyone should be punished for the downfall of some. I have children riding bikes, skateboards up and down my sidewalks every day. They love to ride up on the north side of the house. They come across my neighbor's yard, my yard, and then down the ramp on the other side. This is a going on thing. The other day, they went into the yard across the street. If one of the children was to fall riding their bikes, their skateboards up and down my sidewalk, the kids are walking. I have a retaining wall that holds the dirt back, and I see parents letting their little kids walk on that retaining wall. How do I get out and handle this? I mean, this should not be up to me to do. But if they fall, I could get sued and I could lose my property. It sounds kind of petty to think that I have to protect myself. I am retired, I'm on Social Security, and that's it. If I have liability all the way down to the curb, who's to say that I don't put a fence all the way down to the curb, put signs out that says no trespassing? That's the only way I can protect myself from people coming up and down there. There are a lot of houses, all the houses on T Street, on the north side of Yolo Street, that don't have lawn, that don't have curbing. They just have lawn. This wouldn't apply to them to extent. You do not see the kids riding their skateboards and their bicycles on the lawn as much as you do if you have a sidewalk in front of your house. I don't think the children riding their skateboard on the lawn would get hurt, but us with the sidewalk would have to pay. I know cities are having a hard time, but what about us on the Social Security? There is no one that will come and help us. I hope the city reconsiders this and gives the people a break. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Anybody else wish to address the council?
Good evening. My name is Dave Silvera from 1005 P Street. And my problem with this is that the street where I live on P Street, the sidewalks have been there for almost 100 years. And the city is willing to us, and we're inheriting a problem that has started a long time ago with trees that are big and cover half the street that are beautiful, but their roots are tearing up the sidewalks. Okay. And I don't really see anything wrong with the sidewalks that go up and down. I really don't, because I've been to a lot of other fantastic cities that have sidewalks that do that. But the city is so worried about being sued. And, I've lived on this P Street and never, in the amount of time I've been there for 30 years, I've never seen anybody fall there. Although the city has done some improvements there occasionally. But those sidewalks were built in a way that the underneath concrete is like rubble with some sort of aggregate that keeps it together, but only the top half inch is a finished cement surface. The rest of it just crumbles. And anybody who works for the city knows that because they've taken up enough sidewalks, and I've seen it when they've taken up sidewalks in front of my house. So what I'm saying is that what you're trying to do now is that we're inheriting problems that have been there where we had no control over how those sidewalks were built and what trees were planted, but now you're expecting us to accept all the liability and responsibility for replacing those sidewalks, and I think that's quite unfair. I think that the city needs to be responsible for their piece of property, which extends to probably back 12 feet from the curb, which it's not my property. And I maintain it. I mow the lawns. I water it. I pay for the water. I already told the city not to prune my trees. I'll prune my own trees because I didn't like the way they were doing it. So I'm already doing a lot just to keep that area up. But as far as the maintaining of the sidewalks, like I say, it's out of my control, or was out of my control when they planted the trees or when they put the sidewalks in. And likewise, on our street, there's On the other side of the street, there's no sidewalks, so I get more traffic on my side, because it's not fair that people who don't, to me, there's people who don't have sidewalks that don't have to replace them because they're not there. That doesn't make sense to me, how this would work, and maybe somebody can explain that. So what I really do think is that the city is putting an unfair liability on us homeowners. I just think at this time, or any time as far as that goes, it's unfair. And that's all I have to say. And I hope you take careful consideration of everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the council?
Good evening. My name is Mary Escobar. I live at 1344 Tulare Street on the corner of Tulare and S. So I don't have one side of the house to take care of. I have two sides to handle. The trees that were planted 18 years ago already have lifted part of the sidewalks. I have their roots in my backyard. They have lifted the dirt between the curb and the sidewalk so high that I have stopped watering my grass because the water runs out to the street, and then I have people saying you're wasting water. So I'm trying to get that to dirt so that I don't have to water the streets. The water bills have gone up. Mine run $85 a month on the average. And this landscaping issue, if the city expects me to put grass back in there, first of all, good luck trying to get anything to grow on the top of a root. And second of all, I can't afford the water bill. It's all I can do to keep my backyard green and safe. My neighbor has some very old trees. The Marks' house last winter, it fell into her front yard. It did not hit the house, but we have the same kind of trees along S Street. If my neighbor's tree falls into my house, her homeowners has to take care of my house. That doesn't seem fair. I'm also concerned about my old neighbors. You've seen me here before about their safety. A lot of them are on fixed incomes, and I have concerns about maintaining a tree 8 feet off the roadway or pruning it back in the sidewalks. It cost me $500 to prune my tree for 1 hour. I can't afford that. And my neighbors can't afford it, and I really wish that you would reconsider, because it's not fair to any of us to take care of, like Mr. Silvera said, problems that city trees are causing, that city planted. And you want to tell us what to plant, from my understanding, and that doesn't seem right either. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Anybody else wish to address the council? Okay.
Wait a minute, I do.
All righty.
Vernon Pachot, 1443 Tulare Street. That's the northeast corner of Tulare and T. I would go along with this ordinance as long as all our sidewalks were replaced and all our curbs and gutters are fixed. Then we all start from an equal ground. This ordinance is aimed at Old Town Newman. All the other parts of town got new stuff. Come on, give us a break. That's all I have to say.
Step up.
Rod Gorley, 2038 Carlsbad Caverns Court, if you can spell all of that. That's a new area. After the other gentleman, I thought I ought to get up and speak about the new areas. In essence, what I have to say is that if I own something and control it, I also take responsibility for it. Whether it's in a new area or an old area, the city owns that property, controls that property, and should take complete responsibility for it.
Thank you,
Mine's more of a question, and maybe Garner can help clear this up. And a little bit of research I've done in other cities, it appears that they feel that they have to actually enforce this to protect their liability. So I'm concerned that, you know, I've got 8 pictures of broken concrete in front of my house that I live close to Dave. They're probably 100 years old. I've never brought it to the city's attention because I'm not really that concerned about it. But those have been neglected for this amount of time. We passed this. You feel that you're going to have to enforce it to protect yourself. Now you're going to have code enforcement write me a ticket or force me to repair it because now it's on me. Maybe you can clarify if that's the case, but that seems to be a little unfair to me if that is.
Would you like to address that, Mayor?
Mayor, I can address that.
Okay.
I got it wrong.
All right. Go ahead.
I just want to see if there's anybody else that wants to speak, and I can go through and...
Yeah, let's want to speak before Michael speaks.
Hi, my name is Carol Stevens, and I live at 1107 S Street. I ditto almost everything that's been said, so I won't bore you with that. But I would like for you to consider that our property tax, I think that's what we feel that we're paying property tax for, is for this the city's support of the, I don't know what that is.
No, that's been bugging everyone.
Everyone. Anyway, I feel that it's the city's responsibility because we already pay property tax. I am concerned about the homes that in the older core that do not have sidewalks. Will you ask them to put them in? Because I really do think we need them. And if we're going to be penalized on certain streets, I think all of the streets should have the same responsibility. And I also am concerned about enforcement, but I'm more concerned about how much more it's going to cost you to enforce this new ruling. It seems to me like you're going to be spending some money doing that. And maybe you could spend that money trimming the trees or fixing the sidewalk. And I'm also curious as to the regulations. Can we trim the trees any height we want? Can we plant any tree we want? Can we have stained concrete if we like? And would you deed the property back to us if we're going to be responsible for it? That's all. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to address the council?
Can we hear his reply first?
I think Michael's going to respond to it.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to I took some loose notes here, and hopefully I'll address everybody's concerns. If I don't, please let me apologize up front. What we are trying to do as a city is one, homeowners don't know, but you're already responsible for the maintenance of that under California Highways, Streets and Highways Code. At the beginning of section 5600 states that the owners of the lots and portions of lots fronting on any portion of a public street shall maintain any sidewalk in a condition which will not interfere with public convenience in the use of the sidewalks. The term sidewalk includes parking strips, curbs, and other improvements to protect the sidewalk. That's California Streets and Highways Code, Chapter 22. Our goal here today is not to penalize homeowners. It's not to put an onerous new ordinance on there. We're not planning to go out and do enforcement actions. As you can see, the city has been doing sidewalk repairs. We've been doing sidewalk installations. In the next 30 days, you're going to see new sidewalks installed from, was it S, R to T along Fresno, because there are none over there. You've seen sidewalks installed on Driscoll. We're doing sidewalk repairs right now. I mean, we're trying to prioritize, and what we've done is got them in different tiers. And where it's buckled a lot and it's a big liability to the city and to the homeowners, we've gone out and we've replaced those sidewalks. And I think some of you that live in the older part of town have seen city crews or contractors out there recently doing some sidewalk repairs. Granted, we have not been able to go through the whole city. At this point, it's very difficult to do that much. Again, the goal is not to do this. Based upon the recommendation from our Risk Management Association, they're asking us to pass a sidewalk ordinance that shares the liability. The city is not going to be liable. We're not waiving 100% liability on this. We still are going to be held liable on trip and falls and anything that happens in the sidewalk. They still submit the claims to the cities. What it does then is allows our risk management people, our group or consortium that we're a part of, then to work with the property owner's insurance, homeowner's insurance, and they share in the responsibility. Generally, on the rule of thumb, it's generally about 60% liability on the cities and about 40% on the homeowner's insurance, if there's actual claim and it can be proved. That's the recommendation, and that's why we decided to go forward with this particular ordinance. And it's our legal advisors telling us so. In addressing Mr. Silvera's concerns, we're not trying to give over problems to our homeowners. We're not trying to make you inherit problems. That's not the goal of this ordinance. We're going to continue with sidewalk replacement. We're going to continue with repairs. We're not going to totally abandon our program. That's something that we plan to do. The same thing with the maintenance of the street trees. We're not planning to abandon and give up our street trees maintenance pruning program that you see the cities do. That's not the intent of the program. Again, the intent is shared liability with the homeowners insurance and helping the city out there. You know, our budgets are really tight right now. So, I mean, we may have to skip a year. We may have to cut back on some of that. We don't know where our future holds and what the economy's holding, and neither do you. And I understand, we all understand, nobody wants a liability on them where they could lose everything they've worked so hard to get. That's not the goal of this intent and the intent of this ordinance. So that's not what we're trying to do. Again, we're trying to install sidewalks. We're trying to repair them. And ultimately what will end up happening is if there is a situation, our risk management works with the homeowner's insurance. Plain and simple, homeowners are not involved. Because we did get wind of this, that some of the concerns were circulating through the community, we did talk to a local agent about this. He indicated to us homeowners insurance are already planned this into the price. They already understand that they share in the liability of this. And that was that was one of our local people that told us that. So, talked about the pruning, and the old versus new, and I understand Mr. Picot's concern there that, we're not trying to say, we're not going to pick on the old part of town, but if you look at what's going on, where we are doing our sidewalk improvements, where we are doing our installs, where we are doing our repairs, we're doing it on this side of town, and granted, some of the sidewalks are in better shape over there, but we're not neglecting these neighborhoods. We are investing in these neighborhoods. We've installed sidewalks on Yolo. We installed sidewalks on Yolo. We're installing sidewalks on Fresno. We've done sidewalk repairs at lots of different intersections. We're not just saying, turning our entire program over and just saying, okay, we're ending it. We do invest money in these areas. We do invest money in the infrastructure in these areas, and we're going to continue to do so. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not abandoning this neighborhood. We're going to continue to make those investments. We'll continue to prune the trees. We'll continue to repair the sidewalks. We'll continue to install new sidewalks. Storm drainage system that's going in over on Fresno and T Street area. You're going to see at T Street and what's the other street that comes in? Where we're doing the shave back, and the T Street has a lot of areas where the curbs buckle. Tulare and T Street come in. We're going back there, and you're going to see some sidewalk repairs over there. In the next 2 years, when we're going to start using CDBG money, where on T Street you see the curbs buckled, we're going to go back out, fix those, and get those to drain appropriately. These are all programs that we have, and we're going to continue to do these programs. Again, we have to just, at the advice of our legal authority, is just help us share the liability on it. So, with again, I think there was repeated comments, old neglected sidewalks. We're going back, we're making investments into those areas, and I think if some of you have looked around, you've seen the city is going back and repairing those things.
Just a minute, let him finish, then we'll.
I know Ms. Stevens talked about sidewalk repairs and enforcement and deeding all that property back over. Again, California Streets and Highway Code already says you are responsible for it anyways. And the reality is, in this difficult world, our property taxes. I'm a resident of this community. our property taxes don't go very far these days, especially with the way the economy is and the way the houses have been reappraised and they're such lower. You know, everybody's struggling. It's not just our organization; every organization's struggling. So, you know, I wish I could say that, you know, this was 30, 40 years ago where property taxes, you know, did help us. The state's taking a lot of money from us. Property taxes aren't there. There's a lot of different things that are going on. Again, please understand, we're not trying to abandon our programs. We're not abandoning our sidewalk repairs, replacement, installation program. We're not abandoning our pruning program. We can continue with those programs. Again, we're just, again, at the advice of our attorneys, looking to pass this ordinance, and it's already part of the state code. Some of the street tree and landscaping codes already require you to maintain the landscaping anyways. It's not an enforcement action. We're not sending code enforcement officers out there to look at everybody's sidewalk and take, okay, Mr. Pichot, you got 3 cracks in there. Okay, we're going to go and fix it and build. That's not the goal, the intent. That's not what we're planning on doing.
Eliminate that from the first paragraph here.
Well, we're not sending our code enforcement officers out there to do those things.
Oh, okay.
With that, Mayor, I
All
can.
right. Phyllis, you have something? You want to step up, please? And then Carol, and then Rod, if you'd like to follow up.
Phyllis Pickler, 1032 Main Street, and I just have one question. You're going to continue with the programs, so does this mean, and I'm hard of hearing, so I might have missed this, but if you go out and repair a sidewalk, say in front of my house or in front of my neighbor's house, can they expect to get a bill from the city?
No. At this point in time, we're not looking to build a city. At the time, we're using grant monies that we go out and apply for to do these programs. As long as we're able to continue to secure those programs, we're going to continue to provide this service to the residents free of charge. No one's ever gotten a bill right now, and obviously the states, like the Highway and Streets Code says you're reliable for it. We're not doing that. We're not trying to pass the cost on to you. We're not. These are grant monies that we get, and we continue to invest that. We'll continue to apply for those grant monies to better our community, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Carol Stevens again. I see no reason for this ordinance because you're not going to be doing anything here that you're saying in the ordinance. You're not going to be making us responsible for pruning or fixing our sidewalks or maintaining the height of the trees. And you're not, let's see, what was the other thing you said? Oh, shoot. Pardon? No, it was 2 things that you said. What was your first comments were on?
We just pruning, sidewalk repairs.
Oh, insurance. You said that our homeowners insurance already provides for us our responsibility. So if that's the case, we are already responsible via our homeowners, and our homeowners will, I guess, work with your risk management team. And you're already saying that you're not going to ask us to do any of the things that are written in this ordinance. So I urge you to vote no. There's no reason for this ordinance.
There's a point of clarification. The homeowners already takes that into account, but we need to have the local ordinance that supports it. Your price already reflects it, but without our local ordinance, it doesn't get enacted.
If I understand this correctly, then like my homeowner's insurance they would come after me. This way, if we pass this ordinance, then they come after both of us. Am I seeing that right, or am I reading it wrong?
If somebody trips and falls, here's kind of...
No, but there's 2 of them instead of just me.
Yeah, Councilman, here's kind of the way it works right now. Somebody trips over a sidewalk, they submit a claim to the city. Our Risk Management Association looks over at the liability, looks at the claim, and does the research. And then we try to work with the homeowners insurance. Because we don't have a local ordinance, it's hard to get the homeowners insurance to participate.
Oh.
By having a local one,
that makes sense now. Yeah. That's what okay.
Mary Escobar again. I'm having problems with, if this passes, what's to keep you from, because right now you're going to do everything, but what's to keep you 4 or 5 years down the line saying, okay, we have this ordinance, we're not doing it anymore, now you're stuck with it? What's going to keep that from happening? My other problem is, you say the property taxes don't go very far. Well, for most of us, our paychecks aren't going very far. And where homeowners insurance is going up, medical insurances are going up, and I guarantee you, if the city of Newman starts tagging our properties for liabilities, our homeowners insurance will go up because it's based on the number of claims that we put against our policies. This, at this point of time, doesn't rest easy with me.
Rod, go ahead. Just
As I listened to Michael, it sounded as though nothing's changing. You're going to pass an ordinance written presumably, at least in part, by risk management, and we know they're not out to protect us. You're going to pass this ordinance even though it isn't going to change anything. I find that difficult to believe. It must change something, or you wouldn't have gone to all this trouble.
and Michael, let Michael address it so we
Mayor,
don't get too far ahead.
and maybe I did misspeak. The change is not the city programs. The city programs don't change. The change is our risk management association's ability to work with the homeowners insurance and get the shared liability. That's the change.
Vernon, hold on, we got it.
My name is Rose Borba, 741 Real Avenue. You said that your legal authorities advised you to pass this issue. To me, it sounds like a monetary issue, and if that's the case, I see raises in our insurances. Because somebody, I mean, it boils down to money, obviously. And if the city wants to share, I think we're looking at raises.
Based upon the information we got from our risk management attorneys and our local real estate agent, it's already priced into your homeowner's insurance. That's the information we're getting.
Okay, I'm looking at this on the ordinance, on section 1D. It says, right on the bottom, the fronting or adjacent property owner shall be liable for all damages or injuries by the failure of the owners to maintain these areas. Who decides if it's our failure or the city tree that uprooted the sidewalk? And I say it again, this is leaving the door wide open for a new set of council people to come in 5 or 6 years from now and say, hey, we got the paper, it got passed, it's all yours.
Mary, you have,
I didn't need to go up there. I just wanted to make
well, that way everybody can hear. That's.
I can talk loud enough.
You're a bus driver. That's why.
Mary Moore again. I'm more concerned is a lot of people that live here in Newman don't have the children traffic like I do in front of my house. The kids were up by my porch riding their bicycles day before yesterday. And I have all these kids that live on Merced Street that come over to Q Street because the traffic is lighter and it's safer for them to ride up and down, but they ride up and down on the lawns and on the streets and on the sidewalks. And I'm responsible if these kids fall and get hurt. Their parents aren't out there making sure that they're okay, but they're always there. And that's what I'm concerned about, is getting sued by these children's parents. As far as the sidewalks, I could put the sidewalks in myself. But it's getting sued and losing what I have worked for. Thank you.
The most that this ordinance should say is that there is an agreement between your risk management and homeowners, because that's what you're saying is all you want, is to make it perfectly clear that we're going to share responsibility. But this thing says a lot more. It says we're responsible for maintenance and repair and height of trees and replacement and blah, blah, blah. Even though now you're saying the grants are paying for it, this ordinance does not say that. It says we're responsible. So at the most it should say is that we need to have some verbiage that clarifies to the world that we share responsibility via our homeowners with your risk management. That's all it should say, if that's really what you mean.
Phyllis Beagley, one more time. I'm just curious, Michael, you said that the grants that we have in place right now are paying for what you have planned in programs right now. Couldn't the city, between now and the time those grants run out, couldn't they hold some kind of a workshop or something? Because I know some of the people are here only because it was word of mouth. It wasn't actually publicized on what this was going to contain. And as a result, I think you would have had a whole lot more people here had they known the wording behind what it says on the minutes. So maybe the city could hold a workshop and go into more detail as the grant money runs out.
Out-of-town property owners had no idea this was going to be here. And I know a lot of people who at one point lived in Newman have left or have multiple rental properties, which would make them responsible for all these things, and none of them were notified on something this big that literally will take our rights away, like I feel. Some kind of published letter should have been sent to every property owner in Newman. Because the verbiage on this, and like she said, I found out by a friend who said this is what it is. And that was on Saturday. It was stuffed in the paper between the repossessions. We get depressed. I'm not going to read all the repossessions. All right? If this is something this big, it should have been front page or second page, somewhere in the paper where the public would have been notified in a proper manner, not stuffed between some poor guy's foreclosure. Thank
you. Anybody else wish to address the council?
Dave Silvera. I'm just going to refer to that section 1, item D again. And the last part, the sentence says, the fronting or adjacent property owner shall be liable for all damages or injuries by failure of the owner to maintain these areas. That, I think, is totally incorrect, because if we're going to be sharing everything, that shouldn't say the owner is going to be responsible for all damages. So that, to me, there's a lot of verbiage in here that, I mean, in every paragraph, it needs to be addressed, because it's just one-sided to me, what I see in here. So, but when that word all gets in there, that's way over the line, I think. So I would advise go over this with, some people that want to be there, along with your city attorney, and do a group amendment or addendum or whatever you call this thing, amendment, ordinance. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I just agree with Carol Stevens. If it's just for liability, we can throw the rest of this away and we're in fine shape. I think it's a backdoor way of getting money from us in 2 or 3 years.
I guess that's
Any other comments? Any closing comments, Michael? Oh, one more.
Steve McCulloch, 1026 Main Street. Really, mine is a question. If the city is going to ask us to become partners in liability, will we then have the ability to be partners with the city in deciding what trees are planted in the parkway, if we want any trees planted in the parkway, and if we have trees that are already bad in the parkway, can we do something together, to get rid of them or to, solve the problem now? That's it.
Makes sense.
Any other comments? Michael?
The city hasn't adopted a street tree program and policy and ordinance. I wasn't here when it was adopted, but I have to assume that it went through some kind of public review process. Parks and Rec was probably involved in it. So part of that's already been taking place. My final comment to the council is that our risk management legal advisors have asked us to put this forward to the city council. If we're not going to live or die whether this thing passes or not. All these people here are already liable because they're taxpayers in the city of Newman anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's personally responsible or shared liability as a taxpayer, and if we get sued and we pay out money, ultimately the residents are the ones that are paying out the money anyways. So with that, we can live, we don't have a vested interest in this. We're moving it forward as recommended by our legal advisors. If the council is not comfortable with this, we don't have a problem pulling it off. We can look at it. We can do whatever you want. I mean, we're not 100% just pushing this thing through. I mean, if there's people that aren't comfortable with it and you want us to go back and look at some verbiage, we can do that. If you want us to go back and get some more information, we can do that. We're not trying to ram anything through. I mean, obviously there's people that have some concerns here. I'm sure the council's hearing them. So if you want us to go back, talk to, Risk Management Association, maybe get them in here to do the presentation to the public so they fully understand it a little bit better, we're more than happy to do that. We don't want the council to do anything they're not comfortable with. And if the residents still have questions, I'm sure the council has questions. We can put this off until a later date. It's not something that has to be done today, and it's not something that has to be done tomorrow, but it's definitely something I think the council should take into consideration as we move forward.
Yeah, and Michael, I understand the reason, why this is being addressed, but I also understand the feelings of the many people who have spoken, and I had actually had outlined or had highlighted some areas because although I understand the purpose of the ordinance and everything, but if I'm sitting in their seat and I read that any person suffers damage or injury to person or property, the fronting or adjacent property owner shall be liable for all damages or injuries by a failure of the owner to maintain these areas. That tells me if my neighbors to the south, north, whatever, something happens, then I'm liable for those injuries. I'm liable for a claim. But also, you can be sued for anything. I've been sued more than I like to talk about. But your homeowner insurance, is going to pay out if you get sued for anything. I mean, your homeowner's insurance usually kicks in and covers, a portion of that. I've been down that road too. But I understand their frustration, and it's not that the city's going to, we're not out to make any money. We're not out to jam anybody, and we're not going to have our code enforcement people driving up and down the street. I agree. I mean, some of you live in some of the older parts of town. The streets, the sidewalks look like roller coasters. I understand that as the humps and hurdles, and but we are trying to repair as we can those areas. But I do understand the frustration, and I'm struggling with it a little bit. So, but I would bring it back to council for comments.
I wish I should have stayed on vacation. I thought this was going to be an easy meeting tonight. But the only one I can see benefiting from the way that's written, Mike, is the risk management people. We're not going to benefit.
Well,
No, I'm not trying to, I'm just too. But what I would suggest is I'd like to have them come in and all you people come back and just have them explain why. I can understand what they're doing, and I can understand why we as a city have to do it. But the way it's written, from what I'm hearing here, it's not, it's all on us,
Well,
not them.
Just point of clarification.
Okay.
Risk management is us. We're all the residents
risk
here.
management.
But
Every single one of us lives in this community. We are the risk management.
the risk
authority.
management, okay.
So, but I understand your point, and I support that 100%. If we want to get them in here, maybe they can do a better job of explaining it than I am. I don't know all the legalese. I'd be pretending to tell them if I did. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to put this off, and we can look at the ordinance again, and we can take comments from people on which parts they don't like, and then get back to the attorneys, and then have them come in and present why they recommending that language. We can do that.
But if we don't do anything tonight, or don't just take this thing and throw it over our shoulder, say goodbye, what's going to happen?
But you have a larger responsibility and liability as a community on these situations if there's a trip and fall or some kind of situation.
Please, Bill, that way everybody, the millions of people who are watching this on TV.
Canal, 1017 P Street. What I was going to question on that one is you said that we, as a community, are going to be responsible for this, but the number of people here that are in the older part of town have a greater liability due to the fact that the infrastructure wasn't maintained appropriately. So I can submit a picture in front of my house, and you can see what I'm going to deal with, and compare what my liability is, my risk is to being sued, compared to somebody over on the other side of town. Okay, so you might want to, balance that way and take a look at it. Thank you.
Just for the record, also, I have about 20 photos and a statement by Robert Darrell from 1257 P Street that will.
We can't hear you.
I have a document that we'll also give to the city staff, a letter from Robert Darrell from 1257 P Street, along with some pictures of the street in front of his house. And I don't think, it's no secret that, many of our streets in town, many of our sidewalks are in bad shape, and some of you moved into those areas inheriting those bad streets and bad sidewalks. We understand that. As you can see on P Street, we're finally getting those repaved and slurry sealed, and so we're making improvements as we can. And I've had some questions about some other areas in town that I've brought up previously that I would like to see done, but I know there's not enough money to do everything at the same time, so we're getting there slowly. Come on up, Mary. Come on, look at these.
Mary Escobar yet again, devil's advocate here. If we're going to send this back to risk management, how much money is it going to cost them to do this again? To pay these people, whoever they are. Second of all, if we're going to do this, then I need or would like to see letters sent out to every homeowner regarding this ordinance and the meeting, and send them this little copy of what we're going to be changing to make it fair. We're supposed to be a democracy, and we count on our city council people to not just do what they feel is right, but what the community is urging them to do. And I can't help but feeling, like Mr. Silvera said and other people, we're leaving ourselves wide open, and risk management is just going to be, turning it to us.
Well, Mary, just so you understand, risk management, we belong to a group of cities. That's what risk management.
Who wrote this up, Ed?
Well, it comes from the people who manage the risk management. Our city,
Do we pay them?
Our city, along with a lot of other cities, including Gustine, Patterson, Houston, we all belong to the risk management authority. These people who write all of our legal stuff, all of our ordinances such as this, that they present to cities for adoption for us to look at, in order for us to better protect ourselves as a city in terms of liability. And as a homeowner, and I think what Michael's trying to say, I have, and I know I have a certain amount of responsibility and liability of just by being a homeowner. Those of you who have swimming pools, some kid climbs your fence and drowns in your pool, you're going to be sued.
Okay, but this.
I'm trying to make a point. Is your homeowner's insurance will cover you to a certain extent, and that's what it's there for. We as a city, we have insurance and we belong to risk management in order to try to better protect ourselves as a city, as an entity, because when you get sued, it's always the deep pockets. That's where they're going to go first. So it's just simply saying there's a shared liability here, and I know it's a hot topic, and the feeling I'm getting is this council may want to take another look at it. And just to make it, so you understand, we did the legal postings as required by law, and we got mixed in between foreclosures. I don't know. I don't necessarily always look at those and read all that stuff, so I don't know where it was. But I don't. We as a city, we don't control where that goes. It goes into the newspaper. The newspaper puts it where it fits. So,
okay, but if you said,
so I can guarantee you, Michael didn't say, okay, take that and put it.
No, and I'm saying you did, but it should be our responsibility to say we need this put somewhere where people will be finding it, where people can read it.
Well, I would think then you need to take that with the index.
Well, I'll
not
talk
not
to
us.
them. Okay, but it shouldn't. I mean, okay, we want to give them that responsibility.
Sure, no,
fine,
I understand.
but I'm still not liking this. All business, all damages and injuries will be ours. That's, to me, I've been through enough legal stuff. That relinquishes all my chances. And you guys can say, well, here, it says all. You guys are done.
I hear you. Oh, no, we're not done.
No, I meant all of them.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Heck yeah. Go ahead and step up.
Promise.
You can.
Dave, see if you can kill that.
The problem I see with this is that the property that we're talking about belongs to the city. It belongs to the city. But that one sentence says that any property fronting that property, the adjacent property, which it's called, the owner shall be liable for all damages or injuries. But that seems sort of crazy because we don't own that property. It seems like the owner of that property should be 95% responsible for that property, not the people that have the property adjacent to it. That's wacko. I mean, look at that and say that it's right. I don't think so, but that's
I'm just curious, Dave, just on your property that you own in Santa Cruz, you know what the ordinance there is by chance?
I don't.
You might want to take a look.
But we don't.
I'm just curious. No, because you
haven't got this ordinance.
Yeah,
yet.
The only reason why I say that because you are a property owner there too, right. and my understanding is a lot of cities across the state are adopting these kinds of ordinances.
And they have a lot more foot traffic over there. And
that's the only reason why I throw that out.
There's still, the same problems with cement.
Yeah.
That's the nature of concrete. It cracks, it goes up and down, it falls off. And there's a lot more traffic in Santa Cruz than there is in this city. Mm-hmm. But this city seems to really hammer it, that all sidewalks must be perfect. You go to Carmel, I just was in Murphy's this week, and there's places that there's blacktop that's, here hit and miss, and sidewalks, and they got a lot more tourists than Newman has. I mean, but, it's like people are falling all the time. This is a big problem in Newman, which I don't understand it myself. It's way out of balance. This verbiage is way out of balance. That's all I want to say. Because we're not the owners of that strip of property. The city is. And I know we're all the city, but still, when it comes out in written form like this, it's not fair. That's it.
My name is Ann Dare, and I live at 1257 P Street in Newman, and I have a question. Why, this is a notice that you were just talking about, why was this on the back page and never published in the paper, our local paper? It came in so sneaky. I mean, really sneaky.
I think
that's why the people haven't heard it. I, for one, have called several people here because I found it even better than heck.
Mrs. Dare, I think we addressed that. We don't control where it goes. We do the public notices. We notify the index that this needs to be printed. Okay. We don't know where it's going to be put in the paper. That's up to them. They set their paper up. They start setting it up on a Monday or a Tuesday, and we don't determine where that notice goes. It's a legal notice that we're bound by law to put in the paper.
Okay.
So,
But what I'm
yeah.
saying is, why didn't you guys write up something and have it put in the paper?
Well,
where everybody could read it on the front page or the second page, not the last.
Yeah, we
This
addressed
was
it at our
by
last council
accident.
meeting, so I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. But also, you were talking about people falling. I watched a little boy the other day, about 10, 11 years old. He fell out there and crossing the alley on the side of Tulare. And he laid there for a while. Finally, he got up and got back on his bicycle and tried to push it. I also saw, I see everything on Tulare. There was a man, I think it was a man, I'm not sure, he was on crutches. He had part of his leg gone. He was walking in the street because you cannot walk on the sidewalks. And I, for one, walk in the street. Every time I get on the sidewalk, I almost break my neck. And that's no lie. They are up and down, they're broken, especially on that one strip on Tulare, between the park and my house. So that's all I've got to say. It's just I'm like with Mary. I don't like this. I don't like any of this to be liable for. Also, I have a question. When you have your home paid for, a lot of people, especially elderly, cannot afford homeowners insurance, and the law does not require homeowners insurance for it. You can go without your homeowners insurance if you have your house paid for. There are a lot of people here in Newman that have their house paid for. A lot of older people that, live there for years and years. And I think your house is paid for, Wade. Yeah. But you're really not required to have homeowners insurance. So what happens to those that don't have it? I went for a lot of years over in Aptos without having homeowners insurance. I didn't think I needed it.
Why did you move here?
Don't ask me. It's a dumb thing to do. I mean, that's a sore point in my life.
Aptos Newman.
Pardon?
Aptos Newman. That's a good move.
Yeah, it's a good move. Yeah.
Aptos to Newman?
Yeah.
Not in my case. No, it's beautiful over there.
No, it is.
Anyhow.
Thank you.
That's all I've got to say.
Thanks.
Okay, before I close the public hearing, is there any other comments? Michael, any closing comments? Garner, any closing comments? Okay, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for direction.
I'd like to make a comment before we give you our direction. I can certainly see why the people in this audience are upset with this, because in nowhere does it say there's shared liability. And I know it's going right back to the property owners, and I really truly understand what you're saying. And we've always probably assumed that area in the park strip belonged to the city. They planted the trees. They should maintain it. I mean, that's what I've always believed. And I just cannot understand, and I'm the same as you out there, how we become responsible for that area. It wasn't too many years ago that some of us had trees planted in our front yard. And those trees at one time belonged to the property owners. Then they became, the city, and then they became the property owners. But anyway, I have a real concern with this. The wording is just not acceptable to you good people, and I can understand that. So it's something that you shouldn't have to live with, and that's my comment.
Any other comments?
I'd like to see a committee, if it gets to that point, made up, two of you, two of us, and the assessment team, just to come in and just go through the contract, see if that, and really see if it's going to work, and rewrite it. But I also want to make a quick comment. Over the years now, I've been here 6 years, and I've watched how the streets and all that are done. And you notice Mike said that we have you haven't been charged. I haven't been charged for repairing the streets and sidewalks and stuff like that. And it's all because of people like Stephanie who go out and get these grants. This is all state money and some federal money, I guess. But I want to say thank you to those people. I know this is all negative right now, but I'm telling you, over the 6 years I've been here, they've repaired a ton of streets and sidewalks, and it didn't cost you and I anything. Well, it did in our taxes, I'm sure. But that's what I just want to get that shot in, too. So that's a positive thing. But this we need to rewrite. We really have to look at this. So, thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments? Direction from the council?
I'd like to move that we deny the ordinance to the City Council of the City of Newman, Amendment Title 11, Public Ways and Property of the City, the Newman City Code.
I second it.
There's been a motion and a second. And let me, so I'm clear, you want to totally do away with this, or you want?
I denied it.
Okay. There's been a motion to deny the ordinance. Is there a second?
Yes, I second it.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We move to regular business, item A, approval of the sanitary sewer. Does everybody want to say you want to leave? Yeah. I'll take a quick break. Now's your chance.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Is it?
My tree's not uprooting anything.
Okay, we're back on the record. Item 10, regular business. Item A, approval of the sanitary sewer management plan.
Thank you, Mayor. Item before you, Council, tonight is approval of the sanitary sewer management plan for the City of Newman. In 2006, the State of California Water Resources Control Board adopted a Order 2006-003 DWQ that requires the City of Newman to adopt a sanitary sewer management plan. And without going into the devils of the details on this plan, basically what it is, it's a management plan. We tell the state how we're going to manage the city's collection system. It identifies a fats, oils, and grease program. It identifies a public education program. We tell the state that this is how often we're going to clean the system and how we're going to report different things regarding the city's sewer system. The City of Newman is required to do it because we meet a certain requirement. We have over 1 mile of sewer lines in the city. The goals are to minimize the sewer overflows, prevent public hazards, minimize the interruptions in service, maintain adequate capacities in the system, and basically it makes us stewards of the system in a binder that we report to the state. In addition to that, we have monthly reporting requirements if we have any sanitary sewer overflows. All the elements have been completed and in front of you for council for approval. Also included in your packet is a copy of the sanitary sewer management plan. In summary, the state discharge requires that we adopt this plan. All elements have been completed and hereby submitted for council for approval. At this time, I'd be interested in taking any questions you may have.
Any questions of Garner? If there are none, council direction.
I make a motion that we adopt the sanitary sewer management plan for the City of Newman.
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item B, adopt resolution number 2009 next in number, a resolution establishing the fee for a temporary storage container permit application.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. At our last council meeting, the council approved ordinance number 2009-8, adding regulations pertaining to storage containers in the City of Newman. As alluded to in that staff report, staff is now before you with a proposed application fee for the temporary storage container permit. The permitting process will be a simple one, may involve up to 2 people if I need to have someone from building department go out there and check out the site. It's expected that most applications will only require 1 staff member, most likely, like myself, obviously, and no more than 2 hours of staff time. I am anticipating it to be less than 2 hours, but in case it's a unique situation. Taking these issues into account, staff has determined that a $50 application fee is an appropriate amount for the work involved. Should costs exceed that amount, the applicant would be held responsible. In order to recoup our processing expenses, staff recommends approval of Resolution 2009 next in number, establishing a $50 fee for temporary storage container permit applications. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions of Stephanie?
Just a quick question, Steph. Now, a contractor
Yes.
When they, to build a house, and they put those temporary things there, are we charging them $50, or how's that work?
The way the ordinance was written is that it's in a residential district. So if it is in a residential district, then yeah, I mean we're gonna want them to pay the fee for the storage container, and they can't have it more than 60 days, and they can get a 30-day extension. So no more than 90 days once a year.
Okay.
So probably we'd have to work something out with them if they're using it long term. But not too many builders I've seen have those containers. I think SCM had one for a little while. When they were working on a few, but I don't think it's there anymore. I can check tomorrow.
Just, if you don't mind, call them and just check on that. But yeah, good.
Any other questions? Council direction? Is there a motion from somebody?
I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2009 establishing a fee for a temporary storage container permit application.
Second.
Then motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item C, approval of the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER, relating to its fiscal year 2008-2009 past activity and open public comment period.
Good evening again. Before you is a discussion of the draft CAPER. The CAPER is an annual document that CDBG participating jurisdictions must prepare to review their respective projects over the last fiscal year. Within the last year, the Stanislaus County CDBG Consortium received approximately $2.4 million, of which the City of Newman received about $252,000. That funding was utilized for such projects as the ongoing Pioneer Park Rehabilitation Project and the Sanitary Sewer Replacement Project. The draft paper was supposed to be available today, but I haven't received it from the county yet. I should have it this week. We're only supposed to have it released to the public for a minimum of 14 days, so even if I get it in a few days, we'll still be have plenty of time to release it to the public. The CAPER is a requirement to remain in good standing with HUD. It's a requirement as part of our consortia. In order to stay in good standing, staff recommends that the council consider approval of the CAPER, release the document for public review as soon as I receive it, and set the public hearing for September 8th, 2009.
Questions of Stephanie? Seeing none, council direction.
I make a motion that we approve the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report relating to fiscal 2008 to 2009 past activity and open public comment period.
Is there a second?
Second.
Then a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item D, approval of home sub-recipient agreement.
Hello again.
Getting all kinds of airtime, Stephanie.
Yes. Before you is the home sub-recipient agreement for the 2009-2010 fiscal year. The city must enter into a sub-recipient agreement on an annual basis to receive their annual home allocation. This year, we are set to receive $167,282.56 from the consortia. This funding will be utilized for home-eligible expenditures such as affordable housing, down payment assistance, things of that nature. Staff recommends that the council adopt Resolution 2009 next to number, authorizing the city manager to execute the home sub-recipient agreement with the city of Turlock, who is the lead agency of the consortia. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Seeing none, council direction.
I'll make a motion that we approve home sub-recipient agreement.
I second that motion.
Then a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item E, Chief, I believe, authorize the police department to accept federal grant funds under the COPS Hire and Recovery Program, otherwise known as the CHRP, in the amount of $283,164 to hire one additional police officer. Great news.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to speak tonight about this. In addition, it's also, I have to comment that how enjoyable it is to speak after Garner. I don't know that we've had such a riveting report since Randy Uliger was here.
Riveting.
So, riveting. Inside joke will explain it.
Yeah, riveting, enlightening.
Riveting.
Yeah.
Nice shot.
Anyway, it is my pleasure to speak tonight and pass on some good news. We were fortunate enough to compete for a grant with just about every agency, I believe, in the country. And many were awarded, but unfortunately many were not as well, including some of our local agencies around us. So we do consider ourselves fortunate to be awarded these grant funds. Approximately $283,184. I say approximate because The actual pay are actual cost. That's just the estimate they throw out, and it's a billable type event. They reimburse us for the expense of the officer. So what this does, we'll provide one extra additional police officer on top of our current staff of 12 to bring us to 13. They will pay, they being the federal government, which, as we've talked about a lot tonight, is us, but our taxes will pay for one additional police officer, which includes the salary, the benefits. It also provides for COLAs that may occur, and also for the step increases as well over the 3 years. Of course, there's a catch. Now, what is the catch? Yeah, it's a lot of free money. The catch with this one is twofold. One, smaller, in that at this point we don't know if they're going to cover uniform allowance. Currently, we pay $1,050 for uniform allowance annually. DOJ says the Department of Justice is sort of debating that right now, if they're going to pay that to the agencies. So, we're looking at $3,150 potential expense over 3 years there. The second, the larger and the real catch, is the fourth year we have to fund the officer 100% ourselves. So at that point, they'll be at a C step and heading towards the D step. And there's nothing we can do. We have to pay for the officer the fourth year. If the city chose, certainly I would not advocate for that under any circumstance. But in the fifth year, without penalty, through attrition, layoff, decrease in workforce, whatever phrase you want to use, you could dispose of that cost. But at least 1 year you would have to pay for. So the bottom line is you're getting an officer for a minimum of 4 years, and it costs you one year. Other than that, I think you're probably all familiar with the program. It's just another division of the ERA funds, designed, of course, to provide jobs, etc. So, well-needed position. At this point, it is under community-oriented policing. So, with that in mind, it was competitive, and we had to describe how we would utilize the officer. At this point, it appears that we would assign the officer with its primary focus being in our business community and in our parks, to provide an extra presence there, which is one of basically our number one and chief complaint from the community right now. So that would be our primary intent with the officer. We'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, that's great. And I have to apologize because Councilman Martin and I were on our way over to a thing over at the fairgrounds, and his wife said, geez, we got all this new money and for a police officer, and I had just read, and I didn't see anywhere in print that we had gotten any funding. And I kind of felt, God, I wasn't aware of it, so I emailed Michael. I said, we get funding? And he reminded me via video of your presentation made back in April, regarding the funding. And
I think we're just so used to getting told no and denied that.
But it is great news, and a lot of communities throughout the area, and a lot of large agencies, i.e. Sacramento SO, didn't get any funding.
That was shocking.
My county I work for didn't get any funding, but the city across the street, the city did, Merced PD did. So it was totally competitive, and I was shocked that we got, but I'm very, very grateful. So,
Who wrote the grant?
Police department staff.
Oh, okay. We ought to congratulate whoever, the whole staff, or
yes.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
And you're the department staff.
It's great. It's great news.
That's wonderful.
So,
well, I'll make a motion that we authorize the police department to accept federal grant funds under the Cops Hiring and Recovery Program, CHRP, in the amount of $280,184 to hire one additional police officer.
$283,164.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great news.
Good job, bud.
Let's not kill about it.
A few $100 in there? Okay, we'll move to item F, which is the item that was added to the agenda, report on the Newman Fall Festival 2009.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize for this late edition, and for the Fall Festival, this should have been before you in July, but it is obviously a familiar event. There are essentially no changes. We've met with the event organizers, and there are no significant changes that will impact city services from previous years. We do, from a police department's perspective, we'll be having some staffing changes in an effort to minimize our cost and appropriately police the event based on populations that have attended in the last few years. We believe that we can safely reduce the number of officers that police event and still provide a safe and atmosphere for our community to come out and enjoy the event. So other than that, I don't believe there are any changes to Public Works. It's the same number of barricades, street closure, etc. So we believe there will be a substantial reduction to city cost this year. And just as a point of reminder, this is not, normally there's $1,000 in community promotions for this event. It was unfortunately a casualty of the budget this year. So we've worked closely with the event organizers trying to minimize costs to the city and substantial reduction. Very comfortable with what this would cost us to police the event. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions of the chief? If not, council direction. We gotta move to
approve the event.
Approve the event.
I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion that we approve the annual fall festival.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Item 11, District 5 Supervisor. He's not present. Moving on to item 12, items from the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you tonight, you found at your seat was a press release, and that talked about our successful grant application to Safe Routes to School. That grant is in the amount of $225,000. The total project right now, as we're estimating it, is $250,000. And as you'll see in there, this is for traffic calming improvements that will occur at Merced Street where it comes into Inyo. It's a very tricky intersection because then you have Hoyer up above it, and it's very wide throat. People cut that intersection all the time. People speed through there all the time. I see Ted doing it almost daily.
I've seen him do that.
So, in fact, one of the incidents that occur in 07-08 school year, we had a pedestrian child versus vehicle at that intersection. I think, unfortunately, but fortunately, Caltrans puts high priority on those types of situations, so that having that situation at that intersection, along with the 21 other incidents that have occurred there recently, I think helped us to be successful in that campaign. So, all kudos and acknowledgments go to Stephanie Ocasio on this.
Great job.
But one thing I want to just kind of share with the community and with the council is that so now staff is not, even though we're in difficult budget times, we continue to search out these grant opportunities. We've seen a successful application submitted by the police department, $283,000, another $225,000. Work that's been going on at Stancog has gotten us about another $1.2 million, $1.4 million for the Plaza project. We continually work these situations, and especially in these difficult budget times, and we have to rely on these. Your staff will continue to work and search out grant opportunities for you. So I'm going to have Stephanie. You can talk about NSP. Stephanie will talk about NSP in just a second. Computer program through the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Program, are up and running at McConnell's Adult Education Center. You can find those probably on the back page of the Matos News, underneath our notices. I'm just teasing. They are. They're very good. They're actually in the community section. They'll put it there. Yeah. Pioneer Park, the shade structure has come in, or is coming in tomorrow. That'll be up and going. I know there's a lot of Fall Festival committee members that are keeping a keeping a close eye on that. Stephanie has assured me that that will be done before the end of this month.
I was by there last night checking up on you.
Yeah. We still got a few days. But coming in tomorrow, right, folks? Good. Hill Park, the Howard B. Hill Park, we had that snafu with the defunct contractor. I know Tom's working on his bond issue. We're also now have Grover Landscaping coming in. They're a very reputable firm, and so we anticipate they're going to get started in the next 30 days or so. And then also Veterans, again, Veterans Coffee Clash event is here on August 29th. Again, that's here in City Council Chambers. So with that, I can answer any questions that you may have. I know other staff members have some things for you as well.
Question, Michael?
The only thing I was going to ask, Mayor, is now we shot this ordinance down. What's our next? I mean, we're just going to forget it, or?
You shot it down.
I know. No. But I mean, I would like to see it rewritten. We
Why?
can't do that.
Why?
Well, just I want to find out exactly. I want to find out everything that we can. I don't think I have all the information that I want.
Tom, you want to touch that one first about?
Huh?
It's pretty black.
Or is it done?
Yeah, I think we'll call our man. I'll say we're done on this one.
Okay.
That's
enough
my
for
guess.
me.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, sir.
That's all I had, Mayor.
Okay. Any other questions of Michael? Any other staff comments, reports, otherwise?
Good evening, council members again. This is a couple pictures of our street repair project that's ongoing. Sorry.
You're fine.
This is slurry seal project that's currently ongoing for the first 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We're out doing some slurry sealing. That was the finished product here. So as you drive through the city, you'll see us out there doing P Street. We got 2 blocks of P Street that they're grinding on. They're going to be paving P Street on Thursday. In addition to that, they're going to be working on Canal School Road. They'll have that paved by Thursday. Hopefully by the end of next week, we'll get the fog sealing in. We'll be about 90% complete with this project within 2 weeks. This contract's moved very quickly, and they're doing a pretty good job. I haven't received any complaints to my desk. I don't know if anybody else received any complaints, but I've been trying to keep on top of that. So that project's moving along very good.
Garner, just back up 1 second. Will you just briefly touch on the potential change orders?
Sure. That
we're going to consider, just so they're aware.
There are a couple potential change orders. One of them actually is a change order currently. That's P Street. We did it as a change order to the project to grind and overlay 2 blocks of P Street. So that change order is moving forward. Other potential change orders that we're looking at is to increase the asphalt thickness on Canal School Road to handle the truck traffic that may be coming. The option that the city went forward with on their contract was to do 2.5 inches of AC over about 8 inches of grinded materials compacted to 95%. After some discussion, it was determined that in order to get a better structural section, we're looking at doing 2 lifts of asphalt for a total of 4 inches of AC over we're looking at approximately 9 or 10 inches of compacted asphalt grindings to give us a better structural sections. We get a lot of truck traffic down that street. This will give us a better opportunity. That change order is estimated right now at about $7,000. We're evaluating that and probably make a decision in the morning on that one. In addition to that, we have some repairs throughout the city that we're looking at. One of them is T and Tulare, which was brought up earlier. We're looking at, there's some cold mix that was put in at that intersection where the valley gutter is, and we would like to go in and remove that, a section of it, bring it back and put some hot mix in there to last a lot longer until we can get the funds to go in and really do the repairs we need to do on T Street along that section. In addition to that, with that change order, we're lumping it with some repairs over on Hardin Road, if I remember correctly, in front of Bill Matos' house. There's some problems with his pipe in that section. We're going to tear that out, put a new section in there, make his driveway a little smoother, and then we have some trench patching that needs to be done along that stretch all the way down in front of the school district there. In addition to that, Sherman Parkway has a big square block, if you've ever driven down it, that has some cold mix in it. We want to get that tore out and put back in with hot mix asphalt. Those are the change orders we're looking at, and we're going to be evaluating those. We might probably make a decision tomorrow because they need to move quickly to get these sections paved on Thursday. We've got a really good price from the contractor. We do have the funds available with the Proposition 1B money we received for this project. The bid come in cheap enough, and the contractor's been doing an excellent job for us. So the city manager and I will be evaluating these change orders.
And then, Council, one of the reasons also we're able to do is Garner was able to negotiate a better price on the P Street project, so we actually saved ourselves about $6,000 or $7,000 from their original price on the P Street stuff. And if you're not aware, the situation that's occurring on P Street is back. Mayor, help me out. How long ago was it when we just paved the center of P Street and not the sides?
It was before I got here in '79.
So it's been a number of years, and I think it's been an item of contention for people in the neighborhood. The city, in order to make their monies go further, decided just to pave the center of the road, and then you'll see the real rocky sides. So in order to rectify that, we asked them to bid as a separate item because we weren't sure how much money we were going to have to go back and overlay all of that stuff. So we will be starting at Kern Street and doing one, it'd be P Street, but starting at Kern is one street north, so it'll be between Mariposa and Tulare. You'll get that over there. And we picked those two because those are some of the highest trafficked areas over there. So, any questions on those?
Any questions of Michael or Garner?
Garner, just a question on Canal School Road.
Yes, sir.
Is that going to remain at the same level? Because if you're coming into town on Hillsbury and you go onto Canal School Road and make a left, it's just difficult to even see what lane you're in. I don't know what plans they are, if there's any.
Yeah. That's been redesigned to help facilitate that a little better.
Yeah.
It was quite a bit down right in there. If you go drive by now, you can actually see some of the base that's been put in that has a smoother transition.
Okay.
They had to come back and cut their grades in for drainage. The first part of it, they had to put in a drainage in to get the roadside drainage out of there so it doesn't get back under the asphalt. They've done that. They've completed their grindings. Now they're going to be in there grading that, so it's a better transition off the Hills Ferry. And then when you're heading northbound on Canal School Road, it used to drop down a little bit as well. So they're going to try and blend all that to make it a much better transition. That's our
Anything is
intent.
going to be better than what's out there right now.
It's going to be much better.
If you just threw some asphalt out there, it would be
That's
great.
not our intent. We have our inspector on there. We're watching them pretty heavily. We're taking compaction
Just throw
tests.
it out there.
That's going to be
Thank you.
a pretty
Thank
nice
you,
one. You're
sir.
quite welcome. Okay, so the next project I'd like to show you, this is the storage basin project out at the wastewater plant. This was some money received through an iBank loan. They're approximately 75% complete with this project. Go ahead and show the next slide. This is a little better. This is more in line with what you see out there today. They've finished blading all of the levees around the pond. They have about 96-97% of the dirt out of the pond. They're soon going to be coming in and rocking the inside of it with riprap to help it from erosion. Then they'll come back and they'll finish the roads on top, put in a few more structures, and we'll be complete with this project. It's moving along very nice. The contractor's really doing a good job on his finish work on the project.
I was out there today. I'd been out there once last week, and just the transition, the amount of progress they made. And today I watched them for about a half hour, watching the big land levelers and move dirt and trash. It's a pretty neat operation. So it was kind of neat to watch it from the start to where it is now, and they've done a great job out there.
Those are the largest scrapers that you can
Yeah.
get for that type of work.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that type of equipment in this valley. Tykert Construction, Granite Construction, we've even had them out there to see how large that equipment is.
Yeah.
And they can move a lot of dirt in one scoop.
Yeah.
Actually, they move in tandem, so they're moving 90 cubic yards per run on that project. And they're going to have all those scrapers demobilized by the end of this week. Get their finished blading in. They have a GPS unit checking the slopes of the levees, checking the level. It has to drain onto one area, and then you're going to start their structures. And we hope to be pushing 90+%. We're waiting on some delivery materials, but 90+% in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. The project's moving along very nicely.
It is.
That's all I had on those two projects. As Michael talked about, Pioneer Park project is finally moving to the next phase of getting the canopy installed, thanks to Ms. Ocasio. She's been very diligent about staying on top of the contractor. In addition to that, we're out there doing some local street striping in front of the Fall Festival to ensure that we get those freshened up to make it look like a nice area. We've also asked the contractor to get in there and get this project completed well ahead of time. We gave him a deadline in front of the Fall Festival, so we had a little bit of cushion. The Fresno T Street project is a project that currently has been out to bid. We received bids. We're still evaluating the funding and the bids for that project. That's going to include some sidewalk installations on Fresno and T Street and some storm drainage to help facilitate that, which will take some future drainage up on T Street and Tulare area. So that project should be going out for construction. We're anticipating in another 10 or 20 days. You'll see them working in that section. All told, we have about 5 projects currently under construction. My staff's been very busy, very diligent about staying on top of the contractors, and we have a few more coming our way with the Plaza project. That's going to be a long-term project. We estimate starting construction on that one in about November of this year and completing it sometime in the springtime, and then we maybe have some future phases for that project. So it's a busy time in Newman. You'll see a lot of contractors moving around, and if there's any questions or comments, I'll be happy to answer them for you on this.
Any questions of Garner? Very good, Garner. Thank you so much. Thank you. Any other staff? Sonia? Stephanie? Jump right on up.
Just wanted to briefly mention NSP. We had our first loan committee meeting today. As required by NSP guidelines, we have to have a committee that gives final approval for the home purchases. Today we had 2 for presentation, one on Brookhaven and one on Orchard Creek, and both were approved. I believe Brookhaven was for $105,000 and Orchard Creek was for $95,000. Both 3-bedroom homes on pretty good sized lots. Decent shape. One had a little bit of water damage, but they're going to go in there and fix that, and hopefully we'll be able to turn that around with the Housing Authority and put it on the market for some income-eligible folks to get a nice home.
Are our employees eligible?
I believe they'd be eligible if they meet the income guidelines.
They probably do.
Which they probably don't.
It can go up to 120% AMI. So if, maybe if they're the sole provider for their family, they may. And, we don't discriminate against anyone who applies. We've already got a list from the Housing Authority, and I document anyone who calls an interest for NSP or down payment assistance, because we're also working on getting that going, hopefully in concurrence with NSP, so to help people get in.
Great.
Yep.
Great.
Good job.
Any questions,
Good
Steph?
job.
Thank you. Chief, you done?
Yes, sir.
Sonia, nothing? Wow. Okay. Items from council members. Councilman Kelly.
I would like to personally thank the Michael and his staff, especially Michael Meyer, and for the wonderful job they did with that health task force that we had last Thursday. It really went well. We had well over 100 people there, fed them, cleaned up, and as Mike and I can tell you, but just wonderful. And it went well. Again, it highlighted. We are. I kidded at the beginning of it. I said we're the Carmel of the Valley, and everybody laughed. But I mean that. I mean our hospitality. We're just a nice bunch of people. So, congratulations. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Davis?
I don't have any business.
Councilman Candia?
Nothing except how Ted squeezed out of that.
Oh, I was gonna mention that. He did such a great job promoting.
Yes.
He did a very fine job of weaseling.
He did very well.
How you doing your weight loss?
And he was supposed to. Good. He was supposed to head up the task force for us to weight loss too.
Yeah.
Nice going, Ted.
Yeah.
Remember?
I'm in the background cheering.
Yeah. Nice job.
Hey, I couldn't have gotten out.
I think he probably thought the scale couldn't handle it.
Probably.
I'm sorry, Ted.
Nice cheap shot.
Yeah. I guess I can mark that off my
Well-
things to say.
We weighed in at 1,124 pounds.
2,000.
Is it?
It wasn't 1,000.
2,000.
Three
Oh,
of you were
2,100. That's pretty good.
Yep.
I know that we're down to 2,117 pounds now.
14.
14.
14.
Did you lose some too? Oh,
Good job.
We're doing good. So we'll be able to have bragging rights.
11.
Anyway, I have to hand it to Newman. The town really looked great, and it was a great turnout, as Ted said, and everyone involved did a marvelous job. It was really neat, and when you see something like that happen in our city, you're just thankful that you're part of it. But it was great. The only other comment I'd make, it's difficult when people come here like tonight and they have this concern, and as far as I'm concerned, this is the way it's supposed to take place. People, when they feel that we're not doing what we should be doing for them, then we should be held accountable. It's unfortunate, and I understand the city's position because we're trying to make some sense out of what we're doing. So it's really difficult when you make decisions and you know that, you're trying to weigh what you're doing up here, and I just think that this city it's marvelous the things we're doing right now. When you look around the city and we're supposedly going through a little recession, and you see all the things that are going on, like Pioneers Park and new Aquatic Center Park and things like that, and all the streets are being taken care of properly. I can't thank everyone enough that's involved in these projects and for what you're doing, because it makes our city alive and we're moving forward. But anyway, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Bob. I just have a couple items. I received a thank you letter from Walter Newman. I'll just read it real quick. It says, "Dear Mayor Caton, will you please extend my sincere thanks to the City Council and to City of Newman for the great honor you've bestowed upon me at the council meeting on Tuesday evening past. Your proclamation is hanging in my office wall, where it will be treasured for years to come. My service to our country in World War II was also experienced by many thousands of Americans. Many of them never returned to their homes. Your remembrance of these brave fighting men through your award to me is a tribute to them which should never be forgotten. Kindest personal regards, Walter S. Newman." So I just thought I'd share that with you. Plus I got a call from him, so he's very grateful and he was very touched. So again, thanks staff for putting together that proclamation and did a really nice job. And let's see, I can't bash Councilman Kelly anymore. Mixer night, Dave, is that the 20th? So next, Yancey Lumber, the next chamber mixer is August 20th, which is a Thursday at 6 at Yancey Lumber. I encourage you to attend. And the next fall festival meeting is August 21st. For all of those of you who might be interested in attending and helping, I'm sure Chairman Fantasia and his wife will accept the help. Meeting again is August 21st at John and Carol Fantasia's home in Newman. And let's see, I think that just about does it. So if there's no other business to be done.
Mr. Mayor, could I just, one quick thing? We never say enough, but Farris and the West Side Theater, I want to thank her so much. She was so cooperative, and everything was there and ready to go, and I mean, it was beautiful. And I want to thank her and the West Side Theater staff for just an excellent job. So thank you very much, Farris.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night.
No, don't we have